raise your hand. Raise your hand. Kenny Grsnville.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests, contest chair. By a show of hands, how many in here knows what it's like to feel inadequate? For those of you who didn't raise your hand, it's okay, you're probably feeling it right now. I know I am, after hearing all these amazing speakers and then still having to hear some more, and my apparent sweat stains, yeah. I'd say I'm feeling pretty inadequate right now. But that's not always a bad thing. As human beings, we are destined to fail each other, but more frequently we are bound to fail ourselves. All because we feel inadequate. The feeling of not being good enough or not being able to strive something. Who can all remember that one moment, that gut-wrenching moment that had you awake at night, tossing and turning because you were feeling the weight of the world crushing you, spiraling you down into rock bottom? I've had a few moments like this in my life. I remember one of the biggest ones was the third time I dropped out of college. The third time. The first time was I got a scholarship for ROTC, and I went there and I didn't like it the first week, and I quit because I didn't want to do it. And what did I do? I ended up joining the military. Stupid, right? And then the second time was when I was in the military and I was in college and I was doing good, and September 11th happened, so that wasn't no fault of my own. But the third one, ooh, that was all me. I remember I got out of the military and I was like, I can conquer anything. I'm going to dedicate my entire life to my education. And I went to school and I was like, yes, I'm going to go here. I'm going to be the ace. I'm going to kill it. I walked into auditoriums filled with high school individuals and I'm like, oh yeah, all-star. It's a speech class. How hard can it be, right? I sat in the auditorium and I remember the teacher immediately went into the lecture and hands went up and I was like, oh man. Answers came out and these kids were brilliant and I realized that they read the assignment before class started. I sat there with my dunce cap on, sinking deeper and deeper. So I quit because I was inadequate. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be humiliated. Raise my hand, have a wrong answer, and be that buffoon. How many parents do we have in here? Raise your hand. Dads, let me talk to you for a minute. Do you remember the first time you held your newborn in your arm and you were like, oh, this is the happiest moment of my life? And then that happiness turned to sweating of fear, and then it just turned to anger and doubt because you fear that you might not be the man you need to be to raise that child just. Take that feeling, compare it to the expecting mother who has 9 months of this feeling on top of swollen ankles, on top of vomiting, on top of taking care of you. And through all of that, she still has to endure the pain of giving childbirth, sitting there inadequate, feeling like she can't do it, reaching out, wanting someone to hold her hand to help her through it. And whoever grabs that hand will feel it because it's going to get crushed. But to raise her or him to be the person that someone can look up to and recognize and say, you are a good person, that's a reflection of that mother. Because when a child acts out in public, they never said, where's that child's father? They say, no, where's that child's mother? And then to turn around for that mom to wear the shirt that says, world's greatest mom, because you got it for her on Mother's Day, and she wears it every day she cooks pancakes. Words are torn off, holes in that shirt, but she's proud. That is her emblem, and nothing else matters. Nothing is more priceless. Unless it's Mother's Day again, and you better get her something else besides a shirt. But to have that doubt, to have someone depend on you, someone to look up to you, someone that loves you, you don't want to let them down. And that is pressure. How many people in here, by show of hands, have had jobs where you've got rejected, not once, not twice, but 5 times? How many times? Oh, I know I have. Now, I'm not a religious man, but I do remember my first real prayer. And I was a dad, father of 2 kids, and at the time, I was a waste of life. I couldn't take care of my kids. My parents helped out. I could barely take care of my daughter. Her mom took her. And I was living on my friend's couch, which I called my home. And all I had was a backpack full of clothes, a pocket full of change, and a world of worries whose weight was taking its toll. Everyone told me I wasn't good enough for a job, and everywhere I went rejected me. I remember Burger King said that you were not good enough to be a custodian. Now, at one point in my life, I was a soldier who fought for my country, who went against enemies, foreign and domestic, to make sure this country stayed true. How inadequate must I have been viewed that I can't even clean toilets. Then it came to the point where I could no longer be on my friend's couch, and I was walking the streets, and that sickness of inadequacy just came over me, and it hurt so much that I had to hunch over, and the voices in my head were saying, what kind of father are you? What kind of son are you? What kind of brother could you be? And it hurt so much. And I remember falling to all fours, near the dirt in my hands, my knees, and I remember just crying so hard. And I reached and I said, God, please, help me be a better man. Because religion is often found in times of desperation. And I was at my lowest. Whether it was God, Krishna, Buddha, Jah, or the inner strength that I found, I decided no more. Because see, there comes a time where being inadequate is no longer amusing. And that fuel to be something else, to be something better, that starts to burn. And when it burns, you find that as Americans, we're always taught to fight for what's right, to get through the hard times. But as human beings, we can't help but want to be. How do you view yourself when others who look upon you want you to be more, and you need to be more? At what point does it take for you to strive, to reach out, and become what it takes to strive? Feelings are what you have. They're not who you are. And for those who spend every day not trying to overcome fear, well, you're not looking at the secret of life. Yes, you can find the inner strength within yourself to be overcome, but that also comes from those who support you. Toastmasters, contest chair, and distinguished guests, raise your hand with me and declare that your insecurities will not be your tool to insecurities. Now take that hand, put it over your heart, and declare that inadequacy will be your instrument to success. And if you need help, it's okay. Just raise your hand.